good, beer is good, beer is good, and stop!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this episode of The Beer Chasers. I'm Preston, and today we're going to be doing some home brewing. So today I'm going to be brewing a Belgian Wit. So we're going to show you the recipe, we're going to do the brew day, we're going to taste and review it, see how it came out. So stick around, check it out. Alright, so up first, let's talk about the recipe for the Belgian Wit. To start, I'll let you know that I'm brewing an 8.5 gallon batch today. I'm going to use 5 of it in a keg and 3.5 I'm going to bottle for some friends and to send out to competitions. But the recipe I'm giving you today is scaled down to what would have been a 5 gallon batch. So just be aware of that. You're probably going to see more ingredients in the brew day than you would see here when I'm giving you in the recipe. To start, it's a really classic, easy recipe. Belgian Wits are pretty straightforward. It's like a Hefe almost, where it's 50% wheat, 50% Pilsner. The only difference here is you're going to use a little bit of flaked oat as well to kind of give it some of that classic Belgian Wit character. So for a 5 gallon batch, you'd want to use 5 pounds of Belgian Pilsner. I like to go classic and authentic wherever I can, so the fact I'm brewing a Belgian Wit, I wanted to use Belgian Pilsner. Some people probably couldn't tell you the difference between a Belgian Pilsner or a German Pilsner or an American Pilsner. Just for consistency's sake, though, it makes me feel better. I'm going to use a Continental Belgian Pilsner malt. So I use 3 pounds of white wheat, a really light, SRM wheat, as well as 2 pounds of flaked wheat. So that's going to bring that balance back up to 50% wheat, 50% Pilsner, 5 pounds of pretty much each. As we alluded to here, we're also going to be using some flaked oat. I use 12 ounces of flaked oat. I also use 8 ounces of rice hulls just because I'm using a lot of wheat. I don't want the mash to get stuck or gummy, so I went ahead and used some of that just to be safe. That's pretty much it for the malt bill. Again, pretty classic, not straying too far from the line there if I am at all. For the hops, very similar, just staying true to style here. We're going to use 1 1/4 ounces of Saz, targeting 15 IBUs for a 60-minute boil. No flavor additions, no aroma additions, just pretty much bittering at 60 minutes. Aiming for 15 IBUs. If you look at the style guide, it should be between 10 and 20. I'm aiming for right in the middle. So the special sauce on a Belgian Wit is really these spice additions. And this is where you get a lot of your variance between brew to brew. It's when they add these spices, how much of these spices, and what types of spices. And this would be probably the only area I'd say I stray a little bit away from classic. Some people think, less is more. Some people like the big punch of flavor. I actually use a little bit of everything that's known to be in a Belgian Wit, just in little amounts. So we start off with 2/3 of an ounce of coriander, pretty standard in your Belgian Wit recipes. I'm going to crush this and add it towards the end of the boil. Also use 2/3 of an ounce of bitter orange peel. I use 1/4 ounce of chamomile. So chamomile will give your beer kind of a sweet, almost juicy fruit kind of appearance. I've used this in the past, and I can tell you a little bit goes a long way. So 1/4 ounce in 5 gallons, I think, is plenty. And then finally, I use 1/4 ounce of grains of paradise. These are a small little black seed. When you crack them, they almost have a slight peppery appearance to them, or a smell and aroma, as well as an orange kind of zesty kind of flavor. So I'm pretty much using, again, 3 types of different orange flavors, as well as that juicy fruit kind of sweetness from the chamomile to really spice this beer up. And I think that's what's going to set this apart from some others out there. For the yeast, pretty straightforward. White Labs WLP 400 Belgian Wit. So let's see what else we got. Original gravity aiming for 1052 on my system. If it finishes at 1010 like I expect, mashing at 150 degrees, should be about 5.5% when it's all said and done. All right, like I said, pretty straightforward, pretty classic as far as I can see. But anyways, let's brew some beer. right, well, thanks to the magic of television, here we have the Belgian Wit in its completed form, fully fermented. So let's go ahead and look at it, give it a review, and see what we think about it. So let's look at the appearance. Nice pale goldenish kind of color. You kind of have a slight kind of oranginess to it. Looks pretty nice. The head on it's still here, pretty good, pretty nice. You saw in the pour video about a 1 finger size of head. It's gone down about half finger now, but it's persistent. It's sticking around. Makes me happy. On the appearance, I mean, this looks pretty damn nice. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I think it's damn near perfect for style. It doesn't really get much better than that. Maybe just a little more carbonation, a little more kind of presentation on the head, but other than that, I'm digging it. Let's go for the smell. Nice. You get some of that coriander. You get a nice bit of that orange, probably from the bitter orange peel. You get a small hit of that kind of pepperiness a little bit. Smells nice. I'll go to the 4.5. You know, I'm trying to be not super subjective here. This is my own beer. It's easy to say like, oh, I'm the best or whatever, but I'm really trying to be honest, and I really do think this is a 4.5 attempt, you know, for sure. Well, the best part, the taste. Cheers. I'm digging it. I'm super happy with the way this came out. You get some of that orange characteristic again from the coriander, the bitter orange peel. You're getting some of that juicy fruit sweetness. You get a touch of pepperiness. If I had one critique, I think it would be in the bitter orange. I think it's a little too sharp. It's a little too much out there. I might reduce that next time. We'll talk about that a little later. But other than that, nice malt. You know, you're not getting a ton of hop. It's pretty well balanced. For the taste, I want to go 4.5. Again, you know, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really, really happy with the way this came out. Really, you know, the only thing that would give it a 5 for me is if that bitter orange is a little less, and maybe there's a little more sweet orange. Maybe add that a little bit. But again, we'll talk about that later. Mouthfeel, I mean, I'll go 4 or 4.5 again. I mean, it's damn near perfect to me. It's nice. It lasts. It's not super cloyingly sweet, but it's not super dry. Carbonation level wise, it's sticking around. It's bubbly. It tastes nice. 4.5. So, you know, overall, I think that's going to put this beer somewhere in the 4.5 area. I mean, pretty much across the board. I'm super excited. I can't stress it enough how well this one came out. I think this is by far my favorite beer that I've brewed as far as, like, I think nailing everything I wanted to. You know, it's a pretty straightforward recipe like we talked about in the recipe sense. But it really, it's the spices where it comes out. And I'm really happy with the way this spicing came out. As I mentioned, I think the only thing I would change is lowering the bitter orange. It's just a little too sharp kind of on the sides of the tongue. I'm not going to say it's puckering or kind of sour like that or anything, but it has it's just a little too much there. And I don't know if we can maybe just up maybe some of the chamomile, some of that sweet juicy fruitness, or maybe add a little bit of sweet orange peel, maybe like add a quarter of that sweet orange peel as well. But as I mentioned, you know, now we're talking about adding a 5th spice addition, you know, so you start getting really crazy. You start adding 5, 6, 7 spices with your control of figuring out what to raise or lower. So I think maybe on the next attempt, I would lower the bitter orange by a little bit. So instead of using like 2/3, maybe use half or even a third. Maybe up the chamomile a little bit, or even maybe a little more malt, or, you know, the ratio of spice to malt. Somewhere in that area just to give it a touch more sweetness and a little less of that bitterness from that orange. But other than that, man, I'm super stoked. I definitely recommend this recipe if you want to go out there and try it. It's pretty classic, straight to style, so I don't think you're going to go wrong. I look forward to brewing this one again. This has kind of been my summer beer. I've brewed a Belgian Wit in the past, but I put a bunch of peppers in it, and I totally messed it up. So this year I said, let's stick straight forward. Let's go to style and see if I can nail that first, and then maybe mess around with pepper additions and stuff like that. Super excited, like super stoked. So anyways, that's going to wrap up this episode. Appreciate you watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, retweet. I'd love to see what you think about this. If you've brewed a Belgian Wit before, what are some of the things you might have done differently, or did you do what I did and had similar results? Always love hearing about that stuff. I'm super geeked out about the recipe side of things, so I always love talking about that. So hit me up and let me know. So with that, it's going to wrap it up. I'm Preston. We're the Beer Chasers. We'll see you later.
Beer is good, beer is good, beer is good, and stop. Beer is good, beer is good, beer is good. Let's go drink some beer.
Dude,